The other day, like every single day, I was on YouTube and I noticed Dr. Berg posted a video complaining about YouTube taking down his videos on ketogenic diet from the top search list due to spreading misinformation. This is interesting because Dr. Berg was one of the people on YouTube that helped my husband and I to learn more about nutrition. His page is literally Wikipedia for nutrition, and he has videos about everything and anything you can think of. As we started experimenting ourselves and got educated and did a lot more research on different types of diets, at some point we realized that ketogenic diet might not be the healthiest diet for us out there, and we'll explain why. When I saw in that video that Dr. Berg was complaining in that video, as much as I loved and respected him, I was kind of happy deep inside, and I wanted to bring my husband along because he's also very passionate about nutrition and bodybuilding, and he talks about ketogenic diet at home, so we wanted to talk about it in this podcast together. So if you're excited, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and let's get started. Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for coming to my
Thanks
podcast.
for having me again.
Great. Okay, so let's talk about ketogenic diet. You know, it's one of your favorite topics. And the first question I have is ketogenic diet effective for weight loss?
Yeah, I would say it's very effective. But then I was just thinking, because it's called the ketogenic diet. Like when we say diet, a diet can never be a permanent thing. It's always a temporary thing. So like when someone is like, I'm on a diet, they're on a diet for a while to get a result that they're looking for. So it's not a eating routine. It's not a lifestyle. It's a diet. It's a tool that you can employ to kind of get back on track, lose weight quickly, and kind of adjust your body.
Mm-hmm. And do you think it's something that is sustainable if you're also doing bodybuilding, you're toning at the same time? Is ketogenic gonna interfere with that? Like, do you need to be having a lot of carbs if you're bodybuilding or you're toning or you're building muscles at the same time you're losing fat? So basically, something I personally did, I wanted to tone, build muscles at the same time. I also wanted to lose fat at the same time. So do you think they go together with ketogenic diet? Would that be helpful?
You mean working out and being on a ketogenic diet? Yeah, I would say so. It's definitely doable. And also, like, our bodies is very adaptable. So no matter what you eat, the body over time will adapt. And can you be a high performance athlete and eating a ketogenic diet? You can, but it's not going to be ideal. Can you bodybuild, lose weight, get shredded being on a ketogenic diet? Absolutely. I think it will definitely help. Like, you'll get the results that you're looking for much faster.
If I'm a viewer and I'm watching this video and I'm thinking I want to give ketogenic a try, and you mentioned that it's not a sustainable, it's not a lifestyle, it's not something that you could really sustain. Yeah. How long do you think is a good period that we could go on ketogenic diet for?
It's hard to say. I think it depends on the starting point of that person, like how overweight they are, how much carbs have they been consuming, and how have they been eating, like what's their eating routine. But typically, like I would say just like for a few months to kind of get on track, and then you feel good about yourself. You lose all the water weight, you lose all the extra weight, and then you start reintroducing carbs back to your diet. Like, that's how I would do it.
Exactly, and I remember you experimented with it as well. So with ketogenic diet, if I'm not mistaken, you're only allowed to have about 20 to 50 grams of carbs. That's simply like an apple or a banana. Yeah. And you can't have any other carbs. Some people choose to go with healthy fats, and some people choose to go with dirty fats, like they go with bacon and butter, and some people just go with avocado oil and olive oil. Do you think in terms of health, which one, obviously you would go with a healthier version, but do you think in terms of like health, what are the impacts that a ketogenic diet, whichever way that you go with, could have on your health?
Like whether you have healthy fats or you have dirty food, you mean, or like just generally ketogenic?
Depending, like, for example, let's say just ketogenic diet, let's go with the healthy kind. What kind of health effects could it have long term?
Like most people, when they go on a ketogenic diet, they love it. They almost report miraculous kind of changes that they're experiencing, like their appetite doesn't go up and down so much, it doesn't fluctuate, they feel very stable, they don't crash, they don't have that like post meal drowsiness. But then again, going back to who that person is, like let's say if you're a type of person who wakes up, first thing you run to the coffee shop, you see a donut, you grab that. Then you go to work, you know, like you see a coworker bought some donuts also, you grab a little bit of that. And it's lunchtime, you go to the shawarma spot, you get your typical shish taouk with rice and potatoes and tzatziki, of course. And then you come back, and then around 4 or 5 p.m., you know, you're still kind of feeling funny. So now you're craving another sort of snack. You know, if you go to the coffee shop again, grab a cookie from there and a coffee. So if you're this type of person, like your appetite is just all over the place. Like you have no control. Basically, your like how you feel like is controlling what you eat. Like you constantly have craving, and then you binge a lot. Like if you see some snack somewhere, you see some nuts somewhere, you like to binge on them. If you're this type of person and it's really getting out of hand, like your kind of obsession with carbohydrates, if that's the case, ketogenic could be very beneficial for you.
Yes.
Because in a very short span of time, it could basically regulate your appetite. And the difference is, let's say if you go to that same person that we just described, if you go to him and say, okay, let's help you get discipline. Let's cut all the extra calories. You wake up, instead of the cookie, now you're gonna have, you know, half a cookie. Or if you're gonna basically restrict your calorie intake, it's gonna be very difficult for that person because they're just used to giving into their cravings constantly. But if they go on a ketogenic diet, it's almost a method for manipulating and tricking your own body, or your own brain, I should say. So just in a very short period of time, like after a few days, your body, as I said, because human bodies are incredibly adaptable, so your body will choose to use fat as a fuel source. So once that happens, after a few days, now your appetite will be completely regulated. You're not gonna have those cravings for carbohydrates. You don't care for it. You're just very focused. You're not feeling drowsy. You're not feeling tired. So for a person like that, could be extremely beneficial. And let's be honest, like the person we described, it's basically like 80-90% of people nowadays, just because of the way we live in the city.
Yes.
Whereas if you go to someone who's incredibly healthy, they wake up, let's say we go to some surfer who lives in Malibu. He wakes up, he likes to have a fruit bowl with some oats and his eggs, and he goes surfing, comes back, he likes to have his lunch, like, you know, some steak and some potatoes, and then he goes out with his friends again, you know, he does some surfing again, and then he has dinner, and for dinner he could have some fish and rice or whatever. So they're eating balanced, healthy meats. They don't binge. They don't have any, like, they don't look for food to fix their problems.
I see.
If you go to that person and be like, okay, let me improve your life by getting rid of all the carbohydrates you're eating and introducing more fat to your diet, the chances are that person, especially longer term, they won't be happy with this change. Because especially people who are performing those type of activities like surfing or things that are like basically they get your heart rate very high, they would all, like, they always report that carbohydrates help them better performing those activities. Like you go to a boxer is not gonna have just a piece of dry salmon before the fight.
That's right.
They're gonna have some potatoes, some pasta, Even though pasta is not the healthiest, like food, but that because carbohydrate is much more readily available as a fuel source. So so that person may not even find it beneficial. So it really depends.
Exactly. And I think also it goes for people who work intensely. If you're using your brain a lot, carbs is your brain's favorite carb source. So they also like having carbs.
You were on a ketogenic diet for a long time. So how was your
I was on
experience with it?
ketogenic for about a year, I would say, 9 months to a year. It was during the time exactly. I was the exact person you described, the person who was really looking into food to solve her problems. I was constantly snacking. I was looking forward to having snacks throughout the day, always munching. So I feel like ketogenic diet really changed my life during that period to kind of really understand when to say no, what to say no to, and like give me kind of a structure to kind of get me started. And then once that I was done with that, I was more disciplined, gave me that discipline, then I kind of started reintroducing carbs back into my diet. And I believe I went up and down so I kept getting myself kicked out of ketosis, while I was on keto, which was very frustrating, that you would think that you're losing everything. And once you eat carbs, you get all that water weight back. So, and it was really hard to sustain it because then when you go to a party, you go to a family gathering, there's always carbs around. It's really hard to manage your diet if you're not having carbs at all. So I think that was one of the struggles that I had, but it also gave me that discipline to carry over to the next phase, which I think after that I tried low carbs and carb cycling, which I found a lot better, helpful and more convenient.
What do you think was the reason of you kind of like falling off your diet? Like, because the whole idea of ketogenic diet is that once you're on it and you're established, you're not going to crave carbs. So when you look back, why would you say that you would fall off the diet sometimes? Was it because you were craving something, or maybe was it because carbs are everywhere, so like it's almost not really practical to stay on it?
It's interesting. It's an interesting question because I feel like with carbs, I was never when I was on ketogenic diet or even now, it's not like I crave a certain type of food, but when it's in front of you, it's just very hard to say no because carbs are good. They are delicious. When you go somewhere and there's rice and you're not going to have it, it feels very restrictive to a point that even if you're going to be healthy about it, you're going to have a healthy amount of carb. It's really hard to say no, even though if you're not craving it. It's just like, I feel like a mental or social kind of aspect of it.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that as well. Like if you're the type of person who you're social, like you have a lot of friends or family, like you're gonna realize, like in the beginning while you're excited, it'll be easy to stay on track, but after some time, like you have to put so much effort to make sure you're always in ketosis, because everywhere you go, like you go for Thanksgiving, the carbs everywhere, and you're gonna insist on only having the turkey. That's not gonna happen, because like no matter how disciplined you are, like the chances of you having a little bit of cake or something, and the thing with carbohydrates is that the satisfaction that you get from it it's so fast, it's instant. Like if I eat like a piece of meat, I'm not gonna feel satisfied while eating it. No one's gonna be like, I feel so great. You might feel great after, feeling fulfilled or feeling strong. Whereas if I eat like a few chips, like I get that instant kind of satisfaction, like a drug almost. So yeah, it's you have to put a lot of effort to stay in ketosis essentially.
Yeah. So again, from what we understand, I feel like there's a lot of also the reason Dr. Berg videos are having problems with YouTube is that there are research that shows that ketogenic diet is not the healthiest diet. The healthiest diets right now out there, especially from the course that I took at Stanford on nutrition, they always talk about how plants, most of the food that you eat should be including plants, and moderate carbohydrates. So the carbohydrates come from whole grains, they come from beans and fruits and things like that. If you could maintain a diet like that, I feel like that would be the healthiest type of diet. If you are going to have animal protein, they're saying fish is the grade one. So if you're going to be the healthiest, you consume fish and then chicken and then grass-fed, and then grass-fed steak and then chicken. So I feel like it depends on who you are, where you are in your journey, and what you're expecting from yourself and what your plan is in terms of your health and your body composition and everything. I think you have to consider all of that. And if you're going to use ketogenic diet as a tool, that would be great. Like myself, I use it for discipline, and it gave me that discipline I needed during that phase of my life, but it wasn't something that I wanted to stick with, so I didn't stick with it. So it's really up to you. It's a very individual choice, as long as you don't really stick to it for the rest of your life and you make sure that you include whole grains and fruits and beans and all those good stuff in your diet. I think you should be fine. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, like to be honest, I want to add a lot, but I know we want to keep this short, and in case maybe we'll do another episode on this. But generally, like if you're the type of person who's watching this and you're watching this video because you're considering on going on a ketogenic diet, well, if that's the case, if you've been trying to diet for a long time, like every day you wake up, you're like, today's the day I'm gonna be proper, like I'm gonna cut the extra calories, and you do that for a few days, and then like you pass by your favorite like fast food restaurant and then everything changes. Like if this has been going on for so long and you've just been struggling and now you feel very guilty, if that's the case, I would say ketogenic diet could be an incredible tool. So like if you're that type of person, you're watching this, after watching this video, go to your kitchen, get rid of all the carbs, every single carbohydrates for a while. Just eat healthy. Ketogenic diet doesn't mean you should be eating bacon. You should be eating healthy fats like salmon, good sources of protein, steak, grass-fed beef, avocado, olive oils, and start eating like this for a while, because it'll be much easier for you to stick with this diet and you won't feel guilty, and you kind of get a head start and you gain momentum, and that could be a start of a new life for you. Absolutely. So if you're that type of person, but if you're type of person like me, like you want to know, okay, what's the right way of eating, like almost like a science, like I don't want to say I'm a scientist, but like some sort of an experimentator.
I would say scientist, because scientist is a person who experiments.
Like a bro scientist. Like if you're that type of person who like to know the answer, listen, like you can just on YouTube alone, you can research for weeks and weeks. There are people talking about vegan diets, people talking about carnivore diet, people talking about ketogenic, people talking about only eating fruits. They're fruitarian. So and they all have valid points, and a lot of them can back up their points by studies, research. So you'll be confused. Like you're gonna go around circles for your whole life trying to figure this out.
Like we did.
The only way is for you to experiment. Okay, let me go on a ketogenic diet for 2 months or whatever, 4 months. Stick to it properly. Let me basically write down all my observations. How did I feel? What happened? I went to the doctor. I took my blood test. This was my blood work. Just like a scientist. Now you try a vegan diet for 2 months. You're not gonna die. Like if you're the biggest advocate of eating meat, like you just like to stuff your face in meat, it's okay. You're not gonna die being on a vegan diet for 2 months. So you're gonna go on that, experiment, observe, write down your observations. Then you maybe go on a carnivore diet. But you're saying, that's hard. Like I just can't do that. Well, if you just can't do this, then it's not a matter of right diet for you. You have a discipline issue. So you need to address that. Your problem is not figuring out what's the right diet for you. you need to understand you're not disciplined to stick with your plan. This is almost a philosophical topic. It has nothing to do with keto, carbs. If that's the case, I would say address that. Maybe go watch some David Goggins videos. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know the people who talk about this very topic.
It's very interesting because I had that issue, and we all did. And everybody thinks, oh, Sippy and Ali are just so good with their diets. They're just so disciplined. And we were the least disciplined people out there. We're the type of people who woke up at like 11 a.m. and, you know, didn't start work up until like 1 or 2. And I remember one of the things that started giving us that discipline. We wanted to be disciplined so bad. We needed to, like, we knew that was needed in our lives. And I feel like we started from waking up early and making our beds.
Things that have nothing to do with the diet.
Exactly.
Right? Practicing discipline has nothing to do. Well, diet is you can take that discipline, apply it to your diet, but it's not, you know, they're separate topics.
Yes, exactly. And what else did we do? I think we went for walks. You started getting regular haircuts.
Well, like, just doing the right thing, right? That's what discipline means. Like, discipline means you always doing, well, not always, as much as you can, you're doing what's needed for you. You're not just giving in to things. Oh, now I just want to watch Netflix. Now I want to order food. Now I want to do this. A disciplined person also does all these things, but you do it as needed. You know, now I need to be focusing on this diet, so I'm going to do that. Now I need to get up early, so I do that. This is what, honestly, most people struggle with. It's not, their struggle is not figuring out the right diet. So, so if that's the case, I would say don't worry about the diet so much right now. Just focus on disciplining yourself.
Very nice. That's a very, very, very good point. It almost had me teared up. It's something, no, honestly, it is something very important, very close to my heart. And I know you don't really think about it on a daily basis because now we've gone through that, 2-3 years of putting in the work to become disciplined. And we're still working on it to become even more disciplined and have no compulsion and try to make sure everything's very consciously done. And we work at it every single day. And I feel like diet, and as we do that, choosing better food, choosing the amount of food, the time that we eat, all is, coming together. So it's absolutely right. So I feel like before even considering different diets, make sure that the discipline is there and you're building that even through different methods. And then I feel like discipline with food will automatically come, and you might not even have to go through different kind of crazy diets and restrictive dieting to be able to get there. Well, thank you so much for all the information. This is a very good, chat.
This was kind of almost an intro. So if you guys are interested, like, we have basically dedicated our lives to experimenting with different diets, like I was just talking about. Once we established discipline, once we had the required discipline, we experimented with all these diets, ketogenic diet, for months. So we stayed on it for long enough to know, okay, what does this do for me? Plant-based diet, like high protein, meat protein diets, like bodybuilding diets, all sorts of diets you can imagine. So if you guys are interested to kind of know about those, comment below. I'll be happy to come back on the show. Like, I like to kind of come and take over the channel. So if you're interested, please let us know. We would love to do another kind of detailed video and talk about exactly what this ketogenic diet is about and what can you expect and what could be some of the problems you run into if you stay on it for a long period of time.
All right. Well, thank you so much. You guys have it here. Take care and see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Peace, guys.